Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely. Always up for a deep dive.
Awesome. So today we're looking at, well, a lot actually. Global trade, stock market reforms in Egypt, and gold going, well, kind of crazy.
Yes. No shortage of things to unpack today.
Not at all. Okay, so let's start with the U.S., all right? Those tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico, remember that?
Oh, yeah. That sent shockwaves through everything.
Big time. Like everyone was on edge waiting to see what would happen.
The dollar shot up, gold went through the roof, investors got nervous, right? It was a classic flight to safety. Gold's seen as this stable thing when everything else feels risky. So yeah, gold up, and then stocks and even crypto, they all took a hit.
It felt like we were teetering on the edge of a trade war, honestly.
Absolutely. That was the big fear.
But then the U.S. kind of pumped the brakes a bit. They put those tariffs on hold for Canada and Mexico, at least for a month, gave everyone a bit of breathing room.
Yeah.
What was the fallout from that?
Markets definitely calmed down, but what's interesting is that gold, it kind of stayed high. Didn't drop back down like you might expect.
Right, like even though things eased up a bit, there's still this underlying anxiety.
Exactly. The uncertainty's still there. Investors are still a little jittery, wondering what the next move will be.
Makes sense. So we've got the U.S. dealing with all this trade drama, but then we've got Egypt taking a totally different approach. They're actually trying to attract more investment. Stock market reforms, right?
Yeah, they're making some changes.
Big changes, actually. No more capital gains tax on stocks. So if you sell stock and make a profit, no taxes. Gone.
Makes a big difference for investors, right?
Huge. And they're also bringing back a lower stamp duty tax, which is basically a tax on, well, trading stocks.
Right, so they're trying to make it easier and cheaper to trade, bring in more investors, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's all about making the Egyptian market more attractive, especially with all the uncertainty in the global markets right now.
Exactly. It's a good time to be looking at Egypt. There's a lot of potential there.
Speaking of potential, there are some companies making some big moves. Al Hilal Holding, they're gearing up for a massive IPO.
Big one, yeah. Q3 2025, they're offering 28% of the company. That's a lot of stock.
Yeah, a lot of eyes are going to be on that. And then you've got Bunyan, just wrapped up their temporary listing, hit a valuation of EGP 1.6 billion.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And on top of all that, the EGX index is, well, it's getting a shakeup. New stocks coming in, others getting dropped from the EGX 30 and EGX 70.
A lot of movement. It's exciting. Keeps things interesting,
It sure does. Okay, so we've talked trade, we've talked stocks. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something a little closer to home, maybe literally.
Pharma.
Pharma. Yeah, I mean, everyone's got to take medicine at some point, right? And Egypt's pharmaceutical industry is, well, booming.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Sales have jumped to EGP 292 billion. That's up from EGP 206 billion in 2023.
Wow, that's a massive increase. What's driving that growth?
Yeah.
Any particular companies stand out?
Yeah, definitely. Belton Holding, they're doing incredibly well. Profits up by, get this, 383% to a total of EGP 1.7 billion.
Seriously, that's insane.
It is. And then you've got Abu Qir Fertilizers. They're up to, not as dramatic, but still a solid 12% increase. Their profits hit EGP 4.4 billion.
So it sounds like despite all the global uncertainties, some sectors of the Egyptian economy are, well, thriving.
Absolutely.
Okay, now I know you've also been keeping a close eye on the technical side of the Egyptian stock market. What's the latest with the EGX 30 and EGX 70?
So the EGX 30, that's the big one, right? Tracks the 30 largest companies on the Egyptian exchange. Right now, it's kind of stuck. Sideways trend, closed at 30,011. What we look at are these support and resistance levels. Basically, support, think of it as a floor. If the index drops to that level, usually you see a lot of buying, which stops it from falling further. Resistance is kind of the opposite, like a ceiling. When the index hits that level, you often see selling, which stops it from going higher. For the EGX 30, support's sitting around 29,600 and 29,300. Resistance is up at 30,200 and 30,500.
So those are the numbers to watch, right? Gives you an idea of where things might go next. What about the EGX 70?
The EGX 70, that tracks 70 mid-cap companies. It closed at 8,610. It's been trying to break through this resistance level at 8,600, but no luck so far. Support's down around 8,400 and 8,350. If it can break through that resistance, the next target is 8,800.
Okay, so lots of numbers to watch. But honestly, the biggest story lately has got to be gold. It's been hitting record highs. What's going on?
Yeah, gold's been on a tear. Couple things driving it. First, all that trade war stuff we talked about, that's making investors nervous, so they're piling into gold. It's seen as a safe haven. And then you've got the U.S. economy. It's not doing as well as people thought, and that's pushing people towards gold too.
So basically, when the economy looks shaky, gold looks shiny. Makes sense. And how is this global gold rush? How is it playing out in Egypt specifically?
Well, the price of 24K gold in Egypt, it was recently between EGP 4,490 and 4,615 per gram. So it's basically moving in sync with global trends.
Wow, so if you're in Egypt and thinking about investing gold, you got to keep an eye on global events, just like with the stock market.
Absolutely. Everything's connected. What happens in one part of the world, it affects everything else.
It really is a global market now. Trade wars, gold going crazy, Egypt trying to position itself. It's a lot to take in. What do you think this all means for the average person trying to, figure out their finances?
I think the big takeaway is stay informed and diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? What happens halfway across the world can still impact you. So maybe look into different investments, learn about how global events affect your local economy, maybe even just brush up on your financial literacy. Knowledge is power, right?
It really is. I think it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the financial news out there. But taking the time to understand the bigger picture, how it all connects to your own life, that's crucial. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. Thanks so much for breaking it all down for us.
No problem. Always a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.